US Vice President Vance met with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni for the second time in 24 hours. First, she travelled to Washington for discussions. Now he has come to Rome. Within hours of landing in the Italian capital, he was in front of the cameras expressing confidence about the ongoing talks led by the US to try to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine to end the war.
Even in the past 24 hours, we think we have some interesting things to report on, of course, in private. So the negotiations, I won't prejudge them, but we do feel optimistic that we can hopefully bring this war, this very brutal war, to a close.
Interestingly, these comments came just hours after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke in Paris. He'd been in the French capital for talks with European leaders about the potential ceasefire, but as he was leaving, he said it was clear a deal would be difficult to strike, but there needed to be signs that one could be done.
We're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end. So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in. If it's not, then we have other priorities to focus on as well.
My whole life has been one big negotiation, and I know when people are playing us, and I know when they're not, and I have to see an enthusiasm to want to end it.
Clearly, Washington is growing increasingly frustrated at the lack of progress with these peace talks. You might remember that on the campaign trail, Donald Trump said he could end the war in a day. Once elected, he revised that to 6 months. But we are now 2 months into these negotiations and the Trump team is having very little progress. The 30-day ceasefire proposed by the US was agreed to by Ukraine but never accepted by Russia. The Black Sea ceasefire hasn't materialised either. So is this warning from Marco Rubio to walk away something the US would actually do, or is it a negotiation tactic? This is what Russia had to say.
Contacts going on are quite complicated because, naturally, the topic of peace settlement in Ukraine is not an easy one. Russia is committed to resolving this conflict, ensuring its own interests, and is open to dialogue. We continue to do this.
Aside from the ceasefire talks, it's looking like the much-touted minerals deal between the United States and Ukraine is back on the table. It was derailed back in February following that disastrous Oval Office exchange between Donald Trump, Vance, and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. But we're now hearing that it is going to be signed by this Thursday. Exactly what is in the deal, though, is still unclear.